the whole thought process behind I studied computer science in college was just, technology is, a growing trend. And in terms of career choice, I think it's very important to understand where you are. So like if you're in high school now, like, you want to think about, what are the current trends? What is likely to continue happening? And how can you align yourself with those trends, to have like, a successful career if, that's what you end up doing long term, right?
Welcome to the Unknown Options, the place where we explore the unknown options. My name is Will, and today we have with us Mo. Mo, it's great to have you here. Your journey is important, so we want to highlight the good, the bad, and the ugly. For someone who might not know, what is a product owner?
Yeah, hey Will, it's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me. So yeah, currently I work as a product owner. Essentially, the role is you're working within an agile team, a scrum team. So this is a team that's working to deliver some type of software application to a particular user within the business. So the role itself is kind of like a project management position. You're kind of responsible for the overall impact of the application from its inception all the way to like the actual release to a production environment. So you work a lot with like the business as well as like software engineers to kind of tackle any business problems and then translate that into a technological solution that the business can use for whatever application they have.
Interesting. I love that. That may have been the best job description I've ever heard on this podcast. Um, how did you get started as a product owner? What's your journey to becoming a product owner?
Yeah, so I don't think like the thing about this position, I don't think it's like a position that you like. Even for me, like when I got into it, this kind of just happened just because like,
Yeah.
it's a very unconventional career path because you don't really go to school for it, right? Like
Mm,
I found like in my experience so far, most of the time the people that get into this role are people that either started in technology and then they like learned more about like, the business side of things and so like they combine the two, right?
mhm,
Or it's people that were in business, right? And then they, started to catch up and learn more of the technical side of things. So it's
mm.
a very unconventional career path. But for me specifically, I started off more on the tech side, working as a technology analyst,
Okay.
working a lot with like database management systems and um, analyzing a lot of that back end data, but this was within trading technology. Like that was like the business unit, right? So we were supporting like,
Mm,
investment bankers at a financial institution. So that was like the initial job that I had. And then when I was looking for, new opportunities, this one was presented to me from a recruiter and he thought I was a good match because I had like that technological, understanding
yeah.
of the tech, but it was within trading technology. So I had those interactions that were more like client facing with like the business investment bankers and things of that nature. And so that was kind of how I was able to transition because the role in itself is like almost like a middleman. You're working not only with the technology folks, but you're also working with your business users. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer, but yeah, that's kind of how I was able to get into that position because I had the tech starting, and then I was able to kind of learn more about the business as I went on. So I feel like that's usually how people find themselves in these types of roles.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I never heard it described as that, like the integration between tech and business.
Yeah.
And that's definitely needed because I know in my company, like the business people, are almost like, I guess every like specific little niche, I guess, is really like particular to that niche. So there needs to be like those middle grounds
Yeah.
of learning.
Right, like because if you think about it, right, like the tech folks, like they're deep in the weeds of the code and
Yeah.
understanding all the technological components. So when it comes to trying to implement something, they're gonna have to understand like the business logic, like what is the actual business use case of what you're trying to implement. But like if you go speak with some of those business users that, they use these applications, but, they might want some type of new feature or new enhancement or something of that nature, but, they're not really too in the weeds of the tech. So they don't really know how to, have those conversations. And that's kind of where the product owner comes in to kind of facilitate those conversations between the
Mhm.
two groups so that everybody is kind of on a common understanding of what can be delivered.
Okay, I love that. I mean, I think as we know, like every job is really a solution to a problem.
Hmm.
What I know you mentioned like adding features. What problems do you, I guess, fix or yeah, I guess fix every day or maybe every week? I don't know like what your
Yeah,
timeline
so
time periods are.
yeah, it really depends on like what you're working on, right? In these roles, generally, uh, you're brought into like a business unit. So, for example, I've worked across like trading technology as well as risk and compliance, and there's a lot of these back end legacy systems that are interconnected, super old software, 10, 20 plus years old. So a lot of these applications are on different life cycles, right? So like
Mm,
there might be, they use the terminology like sunsetting, sun rising. So there might be an application that's like, 15, 20 years old that, they're trying to sunset, like kind of uh, get rid of that application and create something from scratch that kind of has those same features and things of that nature.
mhm,
So when you're working in this role, like, currently I'm managing around like 7 applications within like compliance and risk. So it really depends. Like when it comes to the problem you're trying to solve, you got to first start with like what part of the software development life cycle is that application on, right? Like the problems you're trying to
mhm,
solve for an application that hasn't been implemented right yet is going to be different than something that's already there, and you're kind of trying to just keep going up until the next application comes about. So yeah, I would say it depends on what part of the software development lifecycle your application is in. You might be having those early discussions with users about what they want, trying to understand what the business, logic is.
mhm,
But if you already have another application, it might be more about like trying to identify user acceptance tests, like, how can you successfully test an application from like a user standpoint and ensure that, there aren't any defects and things of that nature. So um, it's a very broad spectrum of like what you're going to do.
yeah.
You might go in and, you might be demoing something new to a user, or you might be reviewing an
Okay.
old application. So it really depends on where in the life cycle an application is in. So I think that's something important. Like if you want to get into this role, kind of understanding how an application uh, is created from inception up until like the end
Mm,
when it becomes like released into production. So I think like, you don't have to know the intricacies of like, the super technical stuff, but understanding, how do you create that front end system? How does it connect to the middleware? How does it connect to, your back end databases, right? So like understanding how all of them intertwine and work together uh, will allow you to be successful in this role.
I love that. I mean, that's like you said a lot, and
Yeah.
it's like woo. But it was great. It's great though. But it's like, how would I like how you said? I like how you described in depth what it would take someone to be successful in your position. How would someone go about learning that? Is it college? Is it YouTube? Like, can someone, like, I know obviously certifications are really big right now. Is there a
Yeah, I would say definitely like, the thing about this is like you're not going to be doing anything super technical. Like I'd say like, you would have to like I said, understanding those components, like the database, things like API. A lot of it is like actually when I think more about it, when it comes to technology, a lot of it is
yeah,
like the lingo, like the language, right? And it's like if
yeah.
you don't understand, what's being discussed, you're gonna be, kind of ran out of there because you can't have those conversations with people, right? Like you have to be able to communicate effectively with business and technology. So yeah, I would definitely say, you can learn um even something as simple as, building like a web development app, right? If you can understand how to
Mhm.
build one from inception and understand the pieces that are required within that, I think you could definitely look into something like this. There's also specific certifications for like a product owner. So there's an organization called the Scrum Alliance. They're like a
Okay.
nonprofit organization that they provide like coaching and certifications for like things like Scrum Masters, product owners, things of that nature. Because even the way software is created today, it's a lot of organizations are just now transitioning it into like an agile development. And when I say agile, it's just like um, it's a process of delivering software, right? So you're usually going to work in like
Mhm.
2 week increments. Developers are going to code up solutions.
Wait, Mo, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want you to talk to our audience like their kids, and thank you for breaking
Okay.
down that. But what is software? Like what
Uh,
if I what if they don't know what
yeah,
software is? Honestly,
yeah,
you
you're
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. So yeah, software, everything that we use, right? Think of all
Yeah,
the social media applications you use, your phone, that's, mobile development. When I say web development, just like anything that you can access on the web, on your, computers, things of that nature. Um, and just like we have these commercial products that we use every day in our lives, businesses have internal applications that they use to facilitate, business on an everyday basis, right? So, like, I'm currently working in financial services and compliance and risk management. And, that's, for a financial institution, risk management and compliance, it's,
yeah,
it's a big deal, right? You see what happens
yeah.
when risk management is bad in the case of like SVB and all these other guys, right? So there
Yeah.
were so there was some
Let's talk about that. SVB, what went wrong in their risk and compliance department, if anything did?
whatever, yeah, something definitely did go wrong because they're not here anymore. But in terms of that, I mean that was like a matter of like interest rate risk, right? They didn't account for the current economic environment we're in. Interest rates have gone up, tremendously in the last year. And, some of the smarter people I listen to in finance, I did not study finance, but I am very much interested in finance. They say interest rate risk management is like that's like business school 101. So like,
Mm,
so the whole SVB debacle was it's a consequence of like, we had zero interest rates for super long, and nobody ever really thought interest rates would go up that high. And so, when it came to risk management, they just assumed, oh, interest rates are always going to be low. So yeah, so I mean, when it comes to risk management, like that's probably the downfall, right? That's like the investment. Like you invest in these departments as an institution, you invest in risk management,
yeah.
you invest in compliance because it's one of those things. It's hard to measure because you really only see the value of it when like something like that happens. Like a lot of people lost their jobs.
Mm,
An organization that's been around for for a long time. I don't know exactly how long, but it's no
yeah,
longer here because poor risk management.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that's a side tangent on risk management. They say manage your risk or it'll manage it for you. So yeah, they got wrecked pretty much.
Yeah. It was it happens. That was it was definitely an interesting debacle. My company is based in Palo Alto, California,
Yeah,
and obviously Silicon Valley
yeah,
Bank. So it's like
right. That's yeah.
there's a
I
lot of chatter in the Slack.
Right. And I wasn't aware of them personally, although I'm very
Yeah.
interested in finance, but I did not know how big of an impact they had for, a lot of the startup community.
Yeah, so they finance like 80% of like the I guess like the health and like
Yeah,
the green startups.
right.
So it's going to crush a lot of companies,
It-
a lot of early stage
mm.
companies. But I mean, they didn't. Did another bank buy them, or
So funny enough, it was First Citizen Bank, which
okay,
is based in
okay.
Raleigh, actually. I was just reading.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
so First Citizen Bank is based in Raleigh, super old bank that was like a family started bank. But they ended
Mm,
up buying a lot of the assets that SVB had. So I think they bought like
got
their
you.
loan books and things of that nature. But yeah, they just kind of took away some of the assets that were on their books.
Okay.
Yeah,
Since you're a super intelligent man, Mo. So I want to go back.
we were talking about
And I
software.
want
We were talking about. I think that's where we left off. I think I started talking about risk management.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. You're good. I want to get people to know you a little more. So let's talk about high school,
Mm.
who Mo was in high school, maybe a little bit about your background, like you growing up, um, and then how you from what you were taught as I guess maybe as a child to you becoming a technology analyst to you becoming a product owner. That makes sense. Like your journey from high school,
Yeah,
maybe even a child on, and like how because you're obviously very intelligent
yeah.
and you're very familiar with technology, which is not that common.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've always been like interested. Like, I was actually a gamer like early on, like as a kid and stuff like that. So maybe that
Okay.
was maybe a trigger. But when it came to like high school and things of that nature, trying to figure out like what I wanted to do, I was never really sure. The whole thought process behind I studied computer science in college was just technology is a growing trend, and in terms of career choice, I think it's very important to understand where you are. So, like, if you're in high school now, like, you want to think about, what are the current trends? What is likely to continue happening? And how can you align yourself with those trends, to have like, a successful career if, that's what you end up doing long term, right? So yeah, my
Mhm.
thought process was always, the internet is here. It's not too old. There's definitely going to be
Yeah.
um, opportunity for that. So that's kind of the thought process behind trying to figure out what to study. So decided to study computer science. Um, really had no coding or technology background prior to that, but definitely
Yeah.
interesting. It's a lot of problem solving and critical thinking.
Yeah.
You work with some really smart people. Some of my good friends today are still some of like the first lab um, people I worked with, like in my intro classes, like in computer
Nice.
programming lab and things of that nature. So you meet a lot of bright and intelligent people. So yeah, 4 years of that, and then I got into a technical role. That's what we discussed initially.
Mhm.
And like I said, that was working a lot with a lot of the back end database management systems and things of that nature. And then from there, using that knowledge that I gained from like a business standpoint, working at a financial institution, was able to leverage that opportunity for another position at a different firm, another financial services firm, but that was also within trading technology. That's how I got that initial product owner role. And
Okay.
now this current role is more like compliance and risk management. So even when it comes to career choices as well, like nothing is really linear in your career. Like I said, I did not plan to go this route, but it just kind of
Yeah.
happened. So I
Yeah.
would say always be open to new opportunities. Like if you learn, you know, I, like I learned about like the trading technology aspect of things, and then got into, compliance and risk management. They're all interconnected, but kind of still separate at the same time. So I would say, always embrace new opportunities to learn like different things, right? Like learning
Yeah.
trading, and then learning compliance, and then learning risk. Those are all in a financial institution. Those are all different organizations, right? That I've been able to
Yeah.
be exposed to, in my early career so far.
I love this. I love what you said, like expose yourself to new things.
Mm,
You're an intelligent dude, and I know we have a lot of conversations
yeah,
about like the future and maybe even like obviously the present too and the past.
yeah.
What are three things that if you were, I guess maybe 16 again? Obviously, you don't live in that world, that same world that 16-year would live. But if you were 16, what are maybe three industries or three sects that you would focus on?
Like currently, like looking into.
Yeah, like if you were a 16-year-old looking for like a career, like I don't know what I'm gonna do when I graduate
Oh
high
yeah,
school, like what are three industries that maybe you would focus on right now that you think are going to boom over the next, I
yeah.
guess, 10 years?
I mean, definitely AI. That's a whole conversation
Yeah,
in itself.
yeah, yeah.
I think even now, like if you're in high school or something, that's something like you really have to think about, like before you decide what, like, what you want to do. And I hope like counselors and things of that nature in high school, because I mean, I'm thinking back to when I was in high school, bro, like it was kind of like, bro, you got to figure this shit
Slack.
out like by yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
yeah.
people there that will offer you some like input, but I don't think people, like especially at that high school age, they're not talking about, what does the job market look like in 10, 15 years or anything of that nature. So I'm hoping counselors and things of that, like I hope they're talking to kids about, the impacts of AI potentially. I hope there's some.
They they are they are maybe at private schools, like high
Yeah.
end private schools, but public schools. I honestly think I think we have a runway of I think 10 to 15 years, but I think like I guess my kids. I don't have any kids yet, but
Mm,
I'm just saying like in 10 to 15 years, I think if you don't have your child in like a high performing school, you're gonna be screwed. Like your children are gonna be like I don't want to say that because I don't want to instill fear stuff
yeah,
like that. 'Cause I'm not a fear guy, but it's let me say
I
this:
do.
it's gonna be very hard for your child to develop a high earning skill set, competing against AI and high
Yeah,
performers.
I will say like schools, because I have like some little cousins and stuff. They have been taking like and I think they go to public school. They have exposure now when it comes to like programming and stuff like that. I think you could have
Really,
taken classes in like high school. They have like some AP computer science classes and things of that nature. But yeah, I have some cousins in like middle school. Yeah, and they've been exposed to it, like basic programming.
sheesh.
So I think that's gonna be a key thing that's going to happen. Like it's going to be probably required. It'll probably be like a core class, just like English,
Yeah.
science, math. There's probably going to be some type of basic programming type of thing. Not that everybody's going to be a programmer, but I think it's going to be a lot of roles will be impacted so much by that technology that you're going to have to understand like the basic foundation. So yeah, AI would be number one. Um, Two, I mean, hate it or love it, I'm a crypto guy. So yeah, I'm gonna say crypto. All right. But
I
the
like it.
industry has definitely, taken a step back. A lot of bad actors have, exposed themselves and gotten out of the system. But I think that there will be some type of intersection between the two. I was actually reading this really good article by Arthur Hayes. You know Arthur Hayes?
What did he write?
He's from BitMEX. BitMEX is like FTX before FTX. It was like a crypto exchange. But anyway, he was making a point about when it comes to like um AI, when it does become like fully implemented across, different products, and you have like things like Internet of Things, things of that nature. They'll need some type of currency to transact in. And he was
Yeah.
making the case that, crypto and AI could have that like converging moment where, they're interconnected via some type of blockchain. There's like a lot of discussion now about I don't know if you saw Elon and all of them wanted to have like a delay on AI development,
Yeah.
right? So it's gonna be very I don't know the path forward because things are
Yeah.
moving like exponentially.
It's very
Um
fast.
so yeah, I think yeah, crypto will have some type of, connection to it. There's already some projects that are kind of working on something related to that. And then maybe three, some type of like climate technology, some green energy. I think that's another emerging trend.
Okay.
So yeah, like anything within these industries, will definitely have a broader impact on society. So like whatever you want to do, I'd say if you could like figure out how that could impact you and maybe like learn how that tool can benefit you, right? Like
Yeah.
even for you when it comes to like podcasting and stuff, trying to identify those tools that you can use to benefit your platform, right? I think all of us are going to have to, I feel like we're moving to a society where like there's going to be all these tools, but like the things that differentiate people are the ones that actually kind of go in and play around with things versus the people that
Yeah.
just see it and it's like, oh, that's cool. But like they don't
It's
use it and then like you get left in the dust because bro, like you're just there. You're just a spectator at that point.
I agree. I think we're headed towards a like decentralized
Mm,
model of career advancement where like rather than like signing on for a company for let's say a year or I know my good friend she signed on like a 3-year contract for this company. I think you're gonna sign on for like for a task. It's gonna be a task
mm,
based economy.
mhm.
Like in like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it's gonna be really shorter and sweeter. And I think you're gonna be able to leverage a lot of these tools because as we know technology is decentralized so it's going to get cheaper and better so these AI tools these large learning models that we have large language models that we have right now they're going to even though they're I use one every day I use chat GPT almost every single day in my life
Are you a Chat GPT or a Bard guy?
so I liked Bard but I use it mainly for creative
Mm,
writing and I see that chat GPT is more fluid with the human
mm,
language, while Bard is more stale in creative writing.
okay.
But obviously, Bard is connected to the internet. I know ChatGPT plus 4, I think, is connected to the
Mm,
internet, but Bard is free connected to the internet. So I made a video on ChatGPT versus Bard,
okay.
and I actually said Bard in that video, but for what I primarily use it for, which is creative
Right.
writing, I think OpenAI kills it.
Right.
Like I don't think it's even a company. Like I'll put the same prompt in both of them,
Uh-huh.
and like Bard is like 3 sentences and it's very stale, and Chat GPT is just fluid. Like it's just like you can still tell like a robot wrote it, but it's more alike to human language. My Bard is just like a research paper
Mm,
type. Like you know what I mean? Like you can just tell it's not there yet. I do have faith in Google though. I do have faith
yeah,
in
you can never
Google,
count
and
them out, I feel like.
you
Yeah.
can't. It's I mean it's Google, but yeah. I don't. I think the future is bright. The future to me, the future is always bright. I mean, but it's really going to be bright to those who are curious. The future is kind to the curious. You know what I mean?
100%. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like kids. I like it's and there's going to be like for me and for Mo growing up. I think they were like you said, we were kind of like we were lost like in what we could
Mm,
do. I think kids are going to even be even more lost because there's gonna be a lot of proven ways to wealth. Like they have like Kai. These like we grew up on like trying to think like who like honestly I grew up on like rap artists like you know what I mean and
basketball.
sports
Yeah.
people like yeah but these kids now they're growing up like seeing Kai Cenat like I don't know how much money's worth but making millions a year
Yeah,
YouTube and so they're like YouTubing is being seen as an actual career
it
path
is. Yeah.
now.
And that's why even when it comes to like, AI and stuff like that, like, the pessimist will say, oh my God, so many jobs are going to be, taken away. Like, whereas the optimist
Yeah,
is like, I mean, you don't know what is going to, like, what opportunity, like, nobody would have anticipated, being a Twitch streamer or like a YouTuber would have been, a legit career path when the internet was first incepted, right? So, I
Yeah.
think even from that standpoint, there's going to be like a lot of careers and a lot of opportunity that comes about this, like change in the way we work. So just being kind of aware of those trends, you know, like will be beneficial to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just being curious. Like it's just like and not being scared. Like in the African American community, like there's a fear of technology. There quite literally
Yeah.
is. And it's me and I forgot who it's one of my past interviews. I think it was me and Maya. I think she's African American. And like we were talking about it and she was like, I don't know what it stems from, but like we're scared of technology, and it's like be careful with that, and it's like we should embrace technology because for the most part, I mean, technology is amoral. Like it's not evil or it's not good. It's a tool. It's like money. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like it's how you use
Mhm.
it. So it's like you shouldn't be afraid of it in any way whatsoever. Obviously, it can have like negative effects and depending on whose hands it's in.
Mhm.
But it's like you should obviously always but there should be frameworks around technology, obviously,
Yeah.
like ethical and legal frameworks about
For
how we
sure.
can use it. But I mean, it can be used anyways. It shouldn't be a fear around technology or a fear around the future.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but back to the
Right.
conversation. This is a really good conversation. But what's the do you think that product owner I'm gonna say ownership
Mm.
because I like that. Do you think product ownership will grow like that segment that industry will grow, or do you think it's gonna like die down in the future?
Yeah. So I think even currently, like, a lot of organizations are, implementing, the whole agile methodology and things of that nature. And I think, when I think about how I envision software development changing, like the way software is delivered, um,
Mhm.
you know, going back to that discussion we just had, like, a lot of things will become automated. I feel like a lot of a lot less time will probably be spent um, actually coding and things of that nature. A lot of it will probably be automated. So I see that there will be almost a convergence of like a lot of these. I feel like a lot of roles will become almost like some type of consultant, product
Mhm.
management ish. You know, type of position because you're going to be probably dealing more with understanding like the users and things of that nature versus spending time programming. Now you will still need software engineers, like don't get it twisted,
Yeah.
but I feel like yeah, a lot of time will probably be spent more on collaboration and things of that nature versus being on a computer screen. So yeah, I see it growing. Just because
Yeah.
like you're gonna have to, if companies start implementing like, their own, let's say, model or AI, right? Like you're gonna have people that
Yeah.
have to, manage, what is being fed into that, right? Like what is like the
Hmm.
business logic, and how can this AI or whatever help, the users of these applications. Um, but
Definitely.
that's probably a long time out. Even like working in, corporate America, you find that a lot of like these companies are very slow to adopt, super slow, unless you're
Yes.
like, big tech and you can just spend money to do it
Yeah.
right now. But
Yeah.
you're like average, regular, like, company, they're still using a lot of these old legacy systems that are like 20 plus years old. Like some companies are
Yeah.
just now getting on like cloud and things of that nature. So when it comes to AI, like I feel like people are maybe not over, how do I say? Like the big tech companies are going to do it. Like Salesforce, they just implemented Einstein. Microsoft, they're doing their whole collaboration with Open AI because I mean they got the money to spend. But I mean not everybody got
Yeah.
it like them for real. So
Yeah, and it's like you said though too. It's like most like the
yeah,
cloud. Like so, my company sells cloud security, and like there's so many. Even though cloud security has been like a
yes,
buzzword for the last
forever,
5 years,
yes,
it's still like so many
yes,
companies that haven't migrated to the
exactly.
cloud. Like healthcare is one big
Mhm.
industry, finance one big industry. Because it's kind of scary, like even like mechanical or industrial, like
Mm,
manufacturing companies, like it's scary for them to migrate like their data centers and like their environments to the
yeah,
cloud, like because it's like overhaul. Then there's a lack of workers that are skilled
yeah,
in that industry too. So there's so what you were saying is like people are scared of AI, but it's like a because I think they're scared because AI is evolving, but people don't realize like the adoption rate is going to be super slow.
yeah. For the enterprise level, yeah, there's
Yeah,
still definitely a lot of time for that. But yeah. So yeah,
yeah,
I do think
it's
the position, like, yeah, product ownership, I guess you could say, because I feel like it'll broaden out to like, um, currently like it's a lot of like agile stuff, you're working on full stack applications and things of that
yeah.
nature. But I mean, if you think AI will improve the efficiencies of software development, then you can also assume that there will probably be more software applications eventually, like, right? And if you
Mm,
think there will be more software applications, then yeah, you're going to need people there to kind of manage the life cycle of those software applications. So if you're bullish, like, AI software development, yeah, you can be bullish on like, these types of roles having uh a like some type of proportionate job growth related to the growth of software applications in general. So
I
that's
love
kind of
it.
how I think about it.
Okay, I love it. We're at 35 minutes, so I'm gonna head into the not so speed round. We've been having a great conversation. Honestly, man, we could go on for like
Really
4 hours.
good.
I've been, I'm gonna bring you back because like I've
I
been, because me and you, we think so. Like I won't say we think alike, but we think so. I guess contrary to the average
yeah,
American, I should say. So it's like I really like asking you questions like that weren't even related to like the
yeah.
script because like I know you. I really want
I
to hear what
feel,
you want
and
to say
that's why
about it.
you asked me,
Honestly,
like, did I look at the script? So I feel like I don't know what the questions were, so I don't know like how much of this is actually on topic, but we're just gonna go with it. Let's go.
it's most of it's on topic because honestly the platform is to educate,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
mean you're educating really on. That's why I asked you to like really expound on
Mm,
software because a lot of people they see the word everywhere, they
yeah.
see like SaaS everywhere, but they don't really know what it
Mm,
means, like you know what I mean. So I think you did a great job at really explaining what it was and how you like work on it, in it I should
mm,
say. um what are 4 words that describe product owner?
okay, I'd say leadership,
Hmm.
communication, collaboration, and I'll say decisiveness. Yes,
Expound on that last one, decisiveness. I like it.
decisiveness. So, this is a role where like your opinion is very valuable because, you're trying to decide like, the next steps for like implementation and um what is like the project outcome, right? So like, a developer is going to code anything that you tell them, right? But when it comes
Yeah.
to making those like high level decisions about, you know, what the direction of the application is, you have to kind of be, you have to give it an opinion, and you have to, back it up with, some type of reasoning, and be decisive because, developers, like I said, they're going to create anything really that you want them to do. But if you're like indecisive on like, where what the application should do or shouldn't do, and that kind of goes back to like the collaboration and communication piece because, you're working with business, and, even some of these business users, they also like don't know exactly what they want, what features they want. So,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to end up making the decision for them as well. So
Mm.
yeah, I just say like having that voice and having an opinion on something. Like you like, everyone should have an opinion on something. I feel like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta stand on something. Like, right or
Yeah.
wrong, like make a decision. So yeah, decisiveness,
Yeah.
make a decision. If it doesn't work out, like we've had times where we've released something into production, right? Even now, recently, we just released something, and users came back to us saying like they didn't like the functionality, right? And it's like it's
Mm.
not like something that you get in trouble for, but now we're kind of going back to the drawing board, to, figure out how can we re-implement this, right? And so, it's
Mhm.
kind of meeting with them again, meeting with some of our developers. Um, and then even like next week, we have a demo scheduled to kind of show them now. Because I think that's what we missed last time. We didn't even have a demo. I think we just kind of released it because it was a lower priority item for us.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna go through a demo it for them, and hopefully we can all, be happy with the outcome. So yeah, being decisive, having an opinion, um, is definitely something that's needed for this role.
Okay, I love it. Before I get to the next question, does everyone have to be pleased on the outcome, or are there like kind of like stakeholders that say like, okay, this is good enough? Because I feel like people like can nitpick
Mhm.
every feature. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Come
no,
back,
not
come back a
everybody is
thousand
gonna be
times.
pleased at all. That's like even going back to what
Yeah.
I just said. Like we released something and like people came back, they said they didn't like it. So
Yeah.
um, you're not gonna please everyone, especially like I find that there's a lot of when you get into corporate, a lot of like higher management folks that kind of aren't in the conversation day to day, and they
Mhm.
kind of want to just hop in and like be relevant. Like we didn't like we didn't you weren't involved in any of these conversations, but you see the end product
Yeah.
and you want to say, oh, why does it do this? But you know
Yeah.
you weren't there to begin with. So it's like kind of like, yeah, people are always going to have something to say. But at the end of the day, those users that are using those applications, every single day, they're using it for, the business, right? At the end of the day, this is, these applications are enterprise applications. So you're, at the end of the day, trying to support the enterprise. And so if they're content with it, then, you're good. If not, it's not the end of the world. There's always people always have, opinions. So, just kind of taking that in, meeting with people, and just communicating, being respectful and saying, okay, we missed that, we'll double back and
Yeah.
um, we'll get back to you pretty much. So, yeah.
Okay. I love that. What what is an occupation that is most like a product owner?
So this is still something, like I said, this is not anything I even like, oh, like, yeah, I'll just get into product. Like, I mean, even for me,
Yeah.
I think I just learned about this really like, so my first role was like, I was there for like 3 years. And then I think even when I applied, I was using like a technology recruiter. And so they kind of just recruit for different technology jobs. And he reached out to me and thought I would be a good fit for this. So I mean, I wasn't even aware, but I'd say like, it's similar to I guess project managers. I guess it
Okay.
really depends also where you're at. The thing about corporate,
Gotcha.
like everything is semantics. So you might have
Yeah.
one title at one company, but it's something
Yeah.
completely different at another one. But like you look at the job description and they're doing the same thing. So it's really
Yeah.
semantic. So yeah, I guess like some type of project manager. Even when I was looking, there's like a lot of like technology consultant roles at some of like the big like
Mm,
four consulting firms, like Deloitte, EY, things of that nature. So yeah, like a technology consultant, project manager, things of that nature. Yeah,
okay. Awesome. What does society look like without product owners?
that's a really good question. What does society look like? I mean,
Yeah.
huh. I guess when I think about it, it's like, hmm, kind of going back to that conversation we had about like risk management, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of there to facilitate that interaction and that product between technology and business. So I feel like in a way you're kind of there to like help mitigate anything that might come about in terms of like the understanding between the two parties. And so I
Yeah.
feel like you're kind of like ensuring that everything is delivered like in the right way, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very hard to kind of quantify that, right? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a really good question now that I think about it. Um, yeah, maybe just like like clunky software is delivered. I don't know because it wasn't communicated what was actually delivered. Like even
Yeah.
for us recently, we had something that was delivered and like business thought we were doing something and we weren't actually gonna do like technology actually didn't even implement it and people started like yelling and all this other stuff. So I mean, there was this bad communication on both sides for that. So I'd
Yeah.
say, yeah, you're kind of there to just ensure like quality software is delivered where users and technology are both satisfied.
I like that answer because, like you said earlier, with more software being created, because like these new AI
Mm,
tools that can create software, like no code software, whatever
yeah,
that means, we need
yeah.
people like these roles. Like you said, it's going to be a lot of software
So
out,
much
but most of it
software. I
is
mean,
bad.
you get on Twitter and you see like, oh, these are the AI tools that came out this month. I'm like, bro, like this shit is leaving me in the dust for real. It's
Yeah,
hard to
it's
keep track of how many things are out there now.
like you asked me earlier, I think we were off recording. You're like, who created
Yeah.
Munch? I'm like, I don't even know. I didn't even hear about it
Right.
until my cousin told me. Is and I know I actually saw somebody on Twitter this morning. I'm a Twitter head. I'm always on Twitter.
Threads?
Someone said
Threads or no?
I'm on Threads, and I've actually been tweeting, or I guess threading.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But it's not gonna beat Twitter. First of all, you saw Zuckerberg. I mean,
Was
Elon put
gonna
that
say,
lawsuit
yeah.
out.
I have not used it. I just saw like the growth and stuff. Is it just same thing pretty much?
It's
Same
bro,
thing?
it's same exact
Okay.
thing. It's to me, it's messier because like for me, it's like you can't see where a thread ends. Like imagine where you like it's almost like it's like Twitter
Mm.
didn't segment tweets, so almost it looks like everyone's tweeting on like one
Thread?
like like yeah, one thread. It doesn't even
It
sound right
doesn't do
saying it.
like
You know what
sub because when
I
I
mean?
think of thread, I'm thinking like Reddit. You know how Reddit might have like a comment and then there's like sub replies? Is it like that?
Yeah, no, it's like Twitter. It's just like Twitter, but it's like to me, it's like it's not necessarily
Hmm.
clunky, but it's like it's just it's not even ugly. It's just like it's messy. It's messy. It's
Okay.
like it to me. It's like run on sentences. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I
yeah.
feel
It's so I've been
I feel like I was listening to somebody, they were talking about the fact, I don't know if you saw, I think it was last weekend when Twitter started doing the rate thing, like the views.
like the little bars at the
No,
bottom,
no,
the
no,
little
like they were
bars.
limiting like the amount of
Oh yeah, like
views. Yeah. So I feel like Zuckerberg and them had this in the cut, but once that happened, they're like, all right, let's drop this and
release
it,
it. Yeah, I mean that was one of Elon's big
yeah.
blunders is releasing. That was kind of stupid. I mean, I know why he was trying to do it to I guess increase verified users to like just pay, but like once you make a social media app free for that long, like you can't like you
Yeah.
can't charge users for it.
Yeah.
Like and then you can't limit them because I mean like I don't want to lose Twitter because to me Twitter is the most valuable social media
Completely agree.
apart from YouTube. I consider YouTube a social
Yeah,
media. I
I'll
consider
give
it
you that.
social
Yeah.
media. So I say instead of like I think Twitter and YouTube are easy because Twitter is so fast. Like I'll be talking about something in like a day later. Mom like you said on the
Mm,
news, and I'm like yeah I saw it like literal hours ago, like 24 hours ago on
mm,
Twitter. Like I saw it. It's so fast. And then like you can see so many voices at once. So you can follow like the woke crowd, follow like the conservative, follow like the middle, and see all these different perspectives on one topic, and you can just sit it in the middle, and it's like it's not videos, so it's not like oh TikTok. I'm looking every three
yeah.
seconds. My attention span is dying by the
Right.
second, and it's like it's not Instagram where it's just like a dead app. People just using it because we've been on it,
Mm.
and Facebook is just like even more dead app. Well, it's not even Facebook. The only thing keeping Facebook is the groups and the marketplace. So I
Yeah.
think Mark
I know.
Zuckerberg knows how to build a
He does. He
community.
does. People are big on the marketplace as of recent. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's the worst stigma, or like I guess the big, if there's no stigma attached to it, or the if there's no stigma, what's the like the worst, I guess, aspect of being a product owner?
Mm, yeah, I'd say like stigma. There's like memes about like, oh, like, especially like tech people, they be getting mad. Like, because like this is a like you will be paid like very well, right? Like you're working with a lot of technology folks, so like it is like considered
Yeah.
like you're in technology, so you will be paid like very well. And so there's that stigma around like, oh, but like you're not coding though, like, oh, but and so like yeah, like people will get mad. I mean, this is mostly stuff I see on Twitter and stuff. I've never really experienced it like actually on the job because I feel like in the role, like the people that you work with, they know like the value that you deliver, right? Like so,
True.
really that's really the only, person's opinion that should matter. People are always gonna say something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's probably like a stigma, I guess. People say, "Oh, like you're not coding though," but like we help you, like, oh,
But I honestly think people like say that, not necessarily like coding, but people always say like, oh well, you aren't doing
mm,
this to really any
yeah,
job. Like even in sales, like, oh well, you didn't build a product.
mm,
Why can't you sell it? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Then it sells like, well, you can't sell the product. Why are you building? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if you can build it but you can't sell it, you're not going to make any
yeah,
money. But I feel like everyone has like a negative connotation on every
yeah.
job. So I'm just like, it's just I don't know, it's just
It
pessimism at its
is
finest.
absolutely, yeah.
Are you underpaid or overpaid as a product owner?
Another thing, subjective, but like those haters that I just told you about, they're gonna say I'm overpaid, but no, I'm underpaid though. I
True.
mean,
Are you underpaid?
I feel like once you get into these roles, especially like I said, like when you're working in a lot of these like departments of like compliance risk management, like managing like 7 different applications and ensuring that each of them are up to standards for all these different users, like it's a lot of work, bro. Like it's a lot of collaboration, it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of energy.
Mm.
But it's I like dealing with people. I like having those conversations. Lucky enough that I get to speak with you know a lot of smart engineers as well as like a lot of smart business folks, so like even getting those different perspectives from people at like this early stage of my career, it's very beneficial in terms of like having like a broad understanding of like technological concepts, but as well as business, right? I feel like it's the perfect role for me because it combines like technology, business strategy, and that's kind of those are definitely some of my interests. So yeah.
Definitely. Okay, I love that. What's one book, person, or event that changed the trajectory of your life for the better?
Book, you said book person or
Yeah, a book, person, or event.
event?
So either the three.
So yeah, I'd say event. So my this the initial role that I had, the technology role that I was talking about, I was there for 3 years. This was my first job out of college, and I was actually laid off at the end of 2021. And
Okay.
so, that was, I mean, I had never been laid off before. I don't know nothing about that. So
Yeah.
even from like a life standpoint, I'm glad it's something I was able to experience, at this early stage, right?
Yeah.
We, in our previous conversation, we were talking about, embracing failure, right? So like,
Yeah.
not that I felt like I was a failure, I got like, 4 month severance. I was good, like I was taken care of.
Yeah.
But you start second guessing yourself, like, damn, like is there something that like could have prevented it? Like, is there more
Yeah.
I could have done? But at the end of the day, sometimes it's just like just a numbers game. There was a company restructure. They let, over 20 plus people go. Some of my coworkers, they got whole families, kids, all of this.
Mm,
So, I'm glad
yeah.
I'm glad that I was, still early on in my career just so I could, experience that. And
Yeah.
you can move accordingly, and so it was a great time for me to reflect on
Yeah.
where I was at, how can I improve my skill set and be more appealing to other, companies and organizations. And so, yeah, based off of that, I mean, that changed my trajectory because that was more, like I said, like on the technical side. And
Mhm.
when this recruiter had reached out to me for this, it was based, I mean, that was I had like internships and things of that nature before, but this was like my first real
Yeah,
job. So, they're really going to base, your next opportunity is really going to be based on what you did in that first role. And so, um, that's kind of how I kind of got into this route. So it definitely changed my trajectory because I don't know, like if I was still there, like up until this
yeah,
day, if I hadn't got laid off, if I would be, even doing well as well financially. I don't think I would be because of just the way like corporate works, I guess, in terms of even like you get um I found that, because this is my third job, but even like when it comes to
yeah,
moving around, like you will sometimes it's better as an early when you're working early in the career force if you kind of move around initially because sometimes staying at these companies for a very long time early on in terms of like promotions and things of that nature you might get
yeah,
overlooked. So in terms of doing better
definitely,
financially, yeah, it's a good thing to have
definitely.
other opportunities as well.
I love that
Hmm.
example because honestly, our last interview, he said the same exact thing. He was an engineer. He didn't say what type of engineer he was. I think he was a civil engineer or mechanical
uh,
engineer, but he got laid off from his first job and he was
mhm.
24, and that pushed him to become a full time real estate
Okay.
investor. And it's so interesting because like layoffs. I mean, obviously, we know why the layoffs are
Mhm.
bad. Like, obviously, like, we know why because first of all, you're losing your job, then you're losing like
Yeah,
security. That's really what it is, like because it's
crucial.
money, and most people don't save any money. Like, so it's like you're losing like income, active
Mhm.
income. But it's like in every instance of layoffs that I've heard from like people that I know, and people even people that I don't know, like on LinkedIn, the stories, like life gets better
Mhm.
after a layoff.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it's there's something profound in like you said, I wouldn't call it
Mhm.
failure, but something profound in being laid off. I don't know what it is. Like it's a spark. It's maybe it's just destiny. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but it's
I'm a big proponent of like everything happens for a reason, bro. So like, I
yeah,
mean, for whatever reason that did happen, gotta embrace it and keep it
definitely.
moving.
Because you can't change it anyway. So
Yeah,
that's my thing. If I can't change it, why worry
exactly,
about
exactly.
it? Oh
Yeah.
man. The last question is let's say we have a young Kareem. His name's Kareem. He's 18 years old, doesn't know if he wants to go to
Mhm.
college or go straight to the workforce, become a streamer or whatever. Then he finds his video, he's like, oh, product owner, that sounds
Mhm.
interesting. What steps do you give him to become a product owner?
Yeah. So first, I'd say like if you could look up any type of course, boot camp, whatever. I'd probably say start like from a technological standpoint. Not that you're gonna like have to do anything crazy like that, but I think it's a good foundation to build upon, right? Because I think if you
Yeah,
have that, it's easy to get like the soft skills and things of that nature, right? So I'd say like
yeah,
find a course. You could go on Udemy, you could go on YouTube, you could do like a full stack web development course, build some type of web application, make sure you understand what you built, and those components, you know, you got to understand things like databases, APIs, the middleware, all of these things. So yeah, I'd say start with that. Like just build something, take a course. And then from that standpoint, you have something to talk about, like in terms of like something that you've created. Um, and then I'd say you could go on Scrum Alliance. We can pin that in the comments, Scrum Alliance, and you can sign up for like a workshop. They have certifications for like product owners, scrum masters, things of that nature. Again, it's like a 2 3 day workshop. You pay for it, and you go through. It's like 8 hours for like the 2 to 3 days. Um, and you just go through different like scenarios that you would be in if you were actually in that position. And you have to do like little presentations and demos and things of that nature. You collaborate with other students in the workshop. But after that, after you do your presentations and things of that nature, you'll have that certification as well. And a lot of orgs, you can just go on LinkedIn and just look up like CSPO or like Scrum Master, and a lot of the requirements, because since this isn't like like I was saying earlier, it's not like a traditional career path. You don't really study to get into this. Usually you're just kind of put into it. But there are companies,
Yeah.
if you look up on LinkedIn, like CSPO, that are like hiring for people that have that certification. So I think if you can leverage like that, saying that conceptually like how software development life cycle, how it works, like from inception to delivery, and then you have that you worked on a project, you can kind of speak to how that works and kind of relate it to whatever the job description is, um and then you'd have that certification. I think that's like a good entry point. um yeah, I think that's a good starting point.
Okay. What do you think a college degree is necessary to get a job there, or do you think if you have like that conceptual knowledge and then you actually have working knowledge of a project too, they could get a job hypothetically?
Yeah, I'd say like it really depends, because like a lot of these roles also like they'll ask for, there's probably some entry level roles, I'll say that, but a lot of them, you'll need some years of experience. So you could probably, I'd say like you could probably do it with that. I feel like technology is probably one of the good thing about working in that industry is like a lot of recruiters and stuff, they'll still look at you even if you don't have a college degree, but like they'll see that you really took it upon yourself to get these certifications or work on these side projects.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely possible to do it without a college degree. Definitely, it'll probably be harder, but it's definitely still possible. And then also another thing, I'd
Definitely.
probably say reach out to there's a lot of these technology recruiting companies that work. They specifically recruit for technology roles. So even that
Mm.
might be even a better starting point if you look into those. They might like, from my experience, it's been more beneficial to do something like that rather than like LinkedIn or anything like that, because these recruiters, that's literally like, how they get paid as well. So they
Yeah.
partner with like there's one in Charlotte over here named Tech Systems, and they partner with like financial services or healthcare companies in Charlotte, but specifically for technology roles. So even if you
Yeah.
could get in some type of tech role through them, that would be like a good way to get your foot in the door and kind of transition into something like this.
Okay. I didn't interview, but I definitely got hit up by a recruiter one time. I hit her back, but I never got heard back. But it's
Yeah, yeah,
TEK,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I didn't. So it represents tech, like TECH.
Well, I think that's what they were going for. Like,
Oh, I didn't even put it
yeah,
together.
yeah, I believe that's like what they were trying to do. Some like, yeah, semantic.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been one of us the most amazing interviews. It was really a discussion, a conversation about a lot of things: financial services, software, product owner. We really enjoyed this conversation. We thank you for joining us, Mo. Give out. I know you're not on some social media, but give out the social media that you want to give, if you have any that you want to give, so the people can follow you, reach out to you if you have any.
Yeah, you could reach out to me, I guess, on LinkedIn. We could just add that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to be more active on there. So yeah, we can you can drop the LinkedIn.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. And I can put it. I'll go look at it and I'll put it
Yeah, and I'll send
in
you.
the
We could
video
do
too.
this Scrum Alliance thing as
Yeah,
well
yeah,
for
definitely
the
send that.
certification.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll get
Mhm.
that in there. Man, we appreciate your time, man. This has been a good
Yes,
one.
sir.
This has been a great one. Mo's gonna be back, man. As y'all know, he got a lot of knowledge, and we didn't even scratch it. We didn't talk about
Yeah,
crypto. We didn't talk about. I ain't gonna spoil nothing, but we didn't talk
we
about a
got
lot of things that I don't even
more
know if
to
he want.
come. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
And
So
we've
we,
been, yeah, I've been meaning to hop on, but thank you for having me. The
yeah,
pod is doing
definitely.
great. A lot of valuable information here. So I'm
Thank you.
definitely glad to be a part of it and, able to give
Thank
my
you.
view on things.
Thank you, man. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. Mo will be a reoccurring guest. we hope he will
Yeah.
be. Everybody, please comment, like, subscribe. Go give Mo I think it's a follow on LinkedIn. I'll tag it and I'll put it in the video. Nice day. Till next time.